Hey guys, welcome back. I'm edcgunner, and today we're gonna talk about some of the world's finest quartz watches, and I made a little list. So do write in the comment section because I'm a watch enthusiast who I like all watches, but my favorite kinds are the mechanical watches. So in this list of the finest world's quartz watches, if I missed any, do write in the comment section what I missed and whether or not you agree with the list. But let me just start out a little bit with quartz watches, and those are the watches with a quartz crystal movement. The most common movement in modern watches, quartz watch, is powered by electronic movement with a tiny quartz crystal which is integrated into the electronics of the watch, and due to the properties of the quartz, the crystal will oscillate at practically perfect frequency with an electronic current which is ran through it, and this makes quartz watches incredibly accurate. Some of the higher end quartz watches, Seiko for example, can stay accurate to within a few seconds a year. So are there any high-end quartz watches out there? And the question can be answered in a variety of ways, but for ease I'm just gonna give you two options and you can decide which kind of guy you are. And number one, it's all about the brand. So pretty much all the major watch manufacturers have their quartz counterparts, Omega, Tag Heuer, Longines, and lots of other watches. And for example, there's Omega Speedmaster dive watch that is automatic, and there's also the exact same watch but with a quartz movement, and they are both expensive, and typically these watches have a cheap quartz movement, and that's no more than a $50 on average, but you get that quality of the case finishing, not the movement but everything else, and the brand name and marketing. But if you want to do that, you can buy also a Timex, and that's gonna be equally accurate. And the other option is the super quartz. And if you're an accuracy freak, I'm not, but there are lots of guys who are, and the quartz watches are made for that. So when it comes to accuracy, there's Seiko, Grand Seiko, Sinn Chronomaster, Breitling, even Omega, Skywalker, and etc. And typically these watches are typically accurate within a 10 to 5 seconds a year. And to put this in perspective, chronometer grade automatic watch like Rolex and Mariner probably achieves 2-3 seconds a day accuracy. So this is a year. So we'll talk about that when I come to the specific watches. But the watches are really, quartz watches are really interesting and they have a place in history. So right now I'm just gonna give you my list that I compiled of some of the cool quartz watches you can buy in pretty much all price brackets. So again, if I missed any of the watches that you think should be on this list, do write in the comment section because hey, nobody's perfect. Every list I like to start with a Casio G-Shock, and it's one of my favorite quartz watches, and it's also a watch that is iconic, has its place in history, and it's fairly inexpensive. So G-Shock is a line of watches that is manufactured by Casio, and they are designed specifically to resist mechanical shock and vibration. They're designed for sports, military, outdoors oriented activities. They have a high water resistance, and they are just plainly super cool and happen to be a quartz watch. Next watch on the list is the Other Moon watch, and we all know the Moon watch is a Mega Speedmaster Professional, but the Other Moon watch is from Bulova Moon watch, and it has a long and fascinating history and a story. The watch was made for astronaut David Scott, who wore it on Apollo 15 mission. It has a quite interesting story if you want to research into that. But capitalizing on the hype surrounding that story and the watch, Bulova released their first reissue to great acclaim of 2015, and later on, the 2017, they released another reissue, and it looks great, has a lot of history, and the movement inside is not your ordinary quartz movement. The 262 kHz caliber is a high-frequency quartz movement that Bulova calls high-performance quartz, and the name makes clear these movements operate at much higher frequency than standard quartz and mechanical movements, resulting in a tighter accuracy tolerances. This watch should set you back around $500, and price is always subject to change, but admittedly that's not that cheap when it comes to quartz. And it's worth noting that this isn't run-of-the-mill quartz movement of a watch like most of these watches I will mention in this list. And it also that looks good, has a lot of history, and it's a watch I think you should really consider even if you are already own the moon watch. Next watch on the list is also icon, and when I do lists I like to put iconic watches in there, and in the world of die watches, in the world of quartz watches, there's only one iconic watch that doesn't look like any other watch out there, and it's a Seiko Tuna. Seiko Tuna is a name given to a range of watches which are designed for scuba and professional diving, and Seiko made these watches with saturation diving or greater depth diving in mind, and all of the watches in Seiko Tuna range have a protective screw-down shrouds that have earned them the nickname of Tuna. Seiko made lots of tuna variations. There are, I think, 11 total variations under the Seiko Tuna series. The first one comes from the grandfather tuna to the baby tuna. There are lots of different movements inside, from the kinetic quartz, automatic even, but when you say Seiko Tuna, I think of a quartz. So the ultimate die watch comes from the Germans, and you know that German over-engineering and German engineering, but they like to over-engineer, and this watch is exactly that. And the watch it's really cool watch. It uses technology that no other watch is. There's no other watch like this one, and the watch is filled with oil, and that allows the time to be read at almost any angle. And this technology requires a quartz movement, but the battery is no ordinary quartz battery, and only needs to be replaced every 7 years. And when I say replaced, I mean you send it back to Germany to have them change the battery, and you cannot take it to your drawers. And that's because the case is oil filled. Yeah, oil inside the case enhances its dial visibility and also enables the watch to dive deeper. And this sucker is rated 5,000 meters, and it's really something else. Also, it's made out of German submarine steel, so it's a true example of German over-engineering at its best. It is pricey, but it's not for everyone, and it's made for the diver who's looking for the legibility or flexibility to appreciate the quartz and oil movement. And it is a bit of overkill, but it's something for the watch enthusiast and something for someone who can really appreciate that. I think it's not for me, mainly because of the price, but this definitely deserves and made its place to be on this list of cool quartz watches. The next watch on the list I'm going to talk about is the watch that you only learn if you are watch enthusiast, and inevitably one day, if you're a watch guy like watches, you're gonna stumble upon it. And it's quite interesting watch. It has a it's a what I like to call it. It's a digital revolution. It's a Omega Speedmaster X33, but Skywalker, and it's something that, in my head, I like to translate it to myself. It's something that was designed to replace the Omega Speedmaster Moonwatch Professional. So it's a really cool watch made for space exploration, and even has useful function for space exploration, like mission elapsed time and the phase elapsed time. Also has an extra time zone compared to the first two generation, and this was introduced in 1998, I think. And it's really interesting watch, and it's one of those cool quartz watches. The Speedmaster X33 has a large titanium case, and it's also flight qualified by NASA for space missions. However, most Speedmaster X33 owners will never make it into space, let's just be real. So the spaceman's instrument may seem useless for the common man, but that would be the case. Any smartwatch would be useless. Any watch would be useless. And it is what it is. If you are a watch enthusiast, X33 Skywalker can be very helpful instrument navigating our distinctive levels and travels through daily lives. But at the end of the day, it's really interesting and cool watch that was made to be easily operable with the gloves. It was designed for that, and it's really cool quartz watch that deserves the place in this list. So the next watch in this list is Breitling Aerospace Evo, and the Breitling launched the original version of its Breitling Aerospace in 1985, and the last couple of years Breitling released new models of the Breitling Aerospace, and it's packed with all the other existing functions but just a nicer, larger redesigned cases. I played with the older versions and with the new versions, and I have to say they look fantastic, especially on the wrist for a casual wear. And the Breitling Aerospace is this Digi watch, an analog and digital watch equipped with the Breitling Caliber 79, and it's a super quartz movement. It's Chronomaster COC certified, Chronomaster certified, and they claim that Breitling Super Quartz is 10 times more accurate than traditional quartz movement. Of course, the Sinn Chronomaster and Seiko 9F are the different stories, but all the watch functions can be operated by simply rotating, pressing, pulling out the crown. Seems complicated, but it's really actually very simple, and it's one of those watches that until you have it on your wrist, until you have it in your hands, you would not understand. And it works, it's functional, and it's a Breitling Super Quartz. So we covered a lot of quirky and strange watches, but this one is one of the most accurate watches in the world, and you probably never heard of it. And it's a Sinn, of course. Accuracy is something enthusiasts laud in mechanical watches, but ultimately it's irrelevant. I don't care much about it. But after all, no one really buys a watch because it's accurate for its intents and purposes. Your phone tells better time than Rolex, but Rolex isn't just a highly accurate watch. It's remarkably accurate. So point is, every quartz watch is $2 quartz watch is more accurate than a $2,000 Rolex, but even within the realm of quartz watches, which are the most accurate, there's another subcategory that is able to outperform the rest of them, and these are the high accuracy quartz. Watch which loses and gains seconds, not daily, not monthly, but yearly. There are not many high accurate quartz watches on the market, and you probably heard like something like a Grand Seiko 9F or Breitling Super Quartz, but Sinn Chronomaster, it's one of the most accurate of the already insanely accurate, high accurate watches out there. It's super accurate, guys. It's super accurate. It's you know, and there's a reason why you probably haven't heard of it. Is because like Japanese like to do things the weird stuff. The best stuff they offer only for the domestic market. So you probably heard Japanese JDM. The stuff is the best, and they never really wanted to offer it for the international market. And the modern Quartz Chronomaster was introduced in 1995 as simply the Sinn. Like nothing special, just Sinn, the Sinn, and it featured Sinn top-end thermal and compensated quartz movement. So the Chronomaster has gone through plenty of changes over the years, but its incredible accuracy remained the same. Today's modern current Chronomaster has a solar charging, and in addition to this accuracy, and it also has perpetual calendar function. But not only it's highly accurate and a big piece of technology, but to put it out there bluntly, the Chronomaster has some incredible finishing to complement the watchmaking tech inside. It's a truly high-end watch. Only it's quartz. But only it's quartz. Only it's the most accurate quartz in the world. The next watch on the list is Longines VHP, which stands for Very High Precision Quartz. And the original VHP was first introduced in 1984, and they continued to develop the movement over the next decade or so. And however, the newly issued watches are very much technical in the spirit of the original VHP timepieces. And the biggest talking point, of course, is accuracy when it comes to quartz. And the new VHP models are guaranteed to be within plus or minus 5 seconds per year, which puts them in the very small group. Sinn Chronomaster springs to mind, and even most of the high precision quartz movement max out to plus to minus 10 seconds per year, except the Chronomaster, but Chronomaster is only Japanese domestic market. So the Longines returned to the VHP or high AQ, highly accurate quartz pieces, and they just getting back into the game back, but Longines being Longines, the prices will be very reasonable for technically advanced quartz timekeeping, and they will be no more than usual Longines prices, and they will even have some chronographs, and of course all of these watches in this list are have a bit of a niche market, but high accuracy quartz has its own unique kind of intellectual beauty and satisfaction, and they really all of these watches have their own audience and customers. So the last watch I put on this list is Grand Seiko Quartz 9F, and it's a super quartz movement, and it's a watch that first turned me to take a look more about quartz watches. And of course I'm a serious mechanical watch lover, and the idea that any quartz watch represents a value proposition might seem ridiculous, but when I first learned that this watch is at $2,500 and it's a quartz, I need to take a better look at it. And of course there's a special kind of guy that appreciates Grand Seiko, and Grand Seiko quartz is no different than any other Grand Seiko mechanical. It's just a superior watch. Grand Seiko 9F movement, on the other, it's handmade. Even the quartz crystal is custom grown and tested to match the resonator. It's thermocompensated, and they check for deviations in temperature, which can affect accuracy, and automatically adjust for any deviation. The temperature is the biggest enemy of the accuracy in these watches and quartz watches, and the movement is also specially constructed so the external elements such as fibers, water, dust, and other foreign objects cannot affect accuracy, and this results in a movement that, aside from battery changes, has a service-free life for around 50 years. So these watches are both high-end in terms of the finishing, of the casing, as well as the movement, and it's far superior version of quartz timekeeping and very difficult to manufacture.